Welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and another edition of pre-ride check. So there's a few things you should always check before you head out for your ride. And the simple things like making sure your tires don't have any cuts or anything. You came back from a ride, you were in a hurry, put the bike in the garage or in your bike room, and you didn't check your tires. So just simple things. Your pre-ride check should include at least your tires, your chain, and just obvious things. In my case, I noticed on yesterday's ride that my headset felt a little loose. And so one of the things I do when I check a headset is either I check the spacers underneath the stem or on top of the stem. And you could see like this one moves a little bit, right? So what I'm going to do now is just adjust the headset real quick while we're waiting on our third rider to show up. So there is an order of operations for this. And this is probably loose, and the headset probably doesn't have a lot of play because the two stem bolts are really holding it in place, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to loosen the two stem bolts. And the correct order of operations is you tighten this one first, right? So you make sure your handlebar is straight, make sure your stem is straight. And then what I do is I just kind of put my knees to kind of hold that tire in place. And then I start tightening this down. Now, when I tighten this down, I hold the front brake and I rock the bike back and forth, and usually, there it is, it's gone. So let me show you that again. So if you could maybe film down here, and you could see a lot of movement. If you can get down in this area. And watch how the fork moves, right? And all I'm gonna do now is just tighten this top bolt, hold the brake, tighten the top bolt, hold the brake, and see the slack is starting to go away. And there it is. It's almost all gone. Yep. So now, if you look up here, the order of operations is I tighten this one first and make sure I take out all the play. I always give it just a little bit more. Now I know that this headset is drawn in and nice and tight. So the next thing I do is, and I had an extra ring with me just in case, but it seems to have tightened up nice and tight all by itself. Then I give it just enough to snug up the stem bolts. And then I use this Ritchey breakaway wrench, and you can put different tips in here, but it's a 5 Newton meter wrench, so it's just dummy proof. Most stems are 5 Newton meters. So you just use this to make sure you get the right torque, and you bring it up just slowly, one stem bolt at a time, and then boom, when it snaps like that, then you know you have it. And then you do the other side, and it's good. And then you just do a quick check. You also want to make sure that the handlebars just flop to either side. That means you didn't tighten up the headset too tight, and if it's just nice, and the bearings are doing their job, but they're not left too loose. So that's that. And then one last thing before we roll out. Yesterday we got two flats. And well, one was a flat and one was a pinched tube, or maybe a bad valve. But I was using my mini pump, and I was like, when I'm out here in the boonies, I should just have my frame pump. So I decided we're going pretty remote again today. So I'm just gonna throw this pump on here. And I've talked about this before. If you don't have a steel bike, carrying a frame pump is a real pain because the head tube or maybe the seat tube just has weird shapes to it and you just can't clamp, you know, like this is now on there by spring tension, and then you take your Velcro strap and just secure it on there so that even if you take a bunch of potholes and bumps, that pump's not coming off. Okay, so pre-ride check is one of the things we covered today. Headset adjustment, and take a frame pump. You got unlimited air if you take a frame pump with you. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you.